Recognizing a clear link between prolonged occupation and gender-based violence, excessive use of force by Israeli defense forces, the gendered impact of the occupation, and called for ending the prolonged occupation and the blockade of the Gaza Strip.
The colonial Israeli military occupation remains the major obstacle for Palestinian women. Only an end to the occupation will bring true and lasting empowerment to the Palestinian people, including women and girls. Thank you.
To put an end to the suffering of Palestinian women and allowing her to enjoy all her rights. Thank you. We support the rights of Palestinian women, and it is essential to put an end to the violence that they are subject to under occupation.
Thank you very much.
Next is UN Watch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today's report on Israel and the Palestinian territories provides important information on women targeted by violence. Regrettably, however, the report is undermined by its subservience to one recurring and unproven assumption. As highlighted by the rapporteur, that is the, quote, clear linkage between the prolonged occupation and violence against women. Ms. Simonovic, in other words, what you are saying is as follows: when Palestinian men beat their wives, it's Israel's fault. In this regard, I wish to pose some questions. First, how do you know there is a, quote, clear linkage? Where is the data? I don't see it anywhere in the report, not in Addendum 1 or 2. Is it right to continue infantilizing Palestinians, such that when a man in Ramallah beats his wife, we encourage him to say, quote, Israel made me do it? Your report speaks of Israeli actions that create pressure. Well, maybe. Yet there may be a myriad of other influences. How do you know which is significant? It would be interesting, for example, to examine comparable populations in Lebanon, Jordan, Sinai, and Egypt, and to see if there are differences in the rate of violence against women. Ms. Simonovic, why have you not done so? Where is the data? Second, you make a passing reference to the influence of tradition and culture. Do you mean Palestinian, Arab, or Muslim tradition? You don't say which, and don't seem to be interested in this key factor in the Middle East. Why did you fail to mention that official Palestinian TV regularly broadcasts Islamic preachers who tell the people how to beat their wives? On February 8, 2016, for example, Hassan al-Laham, the Mufti of Gaza, quoting the Quran and the Hadith, advised husbands on how to hit wives, recommending, quote, hitting that does not make her ugly. In other words, not hitting that will bring the police. The hitting will be like a joke. The hitting is a kind of reminder that the love and friendship that Allah commanded is still found between the couple. Ms. Simonovic, while you find numerous indirect ways to blame Israel, how could you omit these direct forms of Palestinian incitement for men to beat their wives? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Israel has used the worst kind of abuse, ethnic cleansing, and imposing a regime of apartheid.
Israel continues to exercise apartheid in Palestine, which constitutes a crime against humanity, violence and terrorism that are being exercised against the Palestinian people.
These violations include the building of apartheid walls to legitimize the theft of land and to Judaize Jerusalem.
The separation wall is an example of the apartheid policy practiced by Israel.
Israel's practices of discrimination as well as extremism.
Thank you, Mr. President. Israel's 1.5 million Arabs, whatever challenges they face, enjoy full rights to vote and to be elected in the Knesset. They work as doctors and lawyers. They serve on the Supreme Court. Now, I'd like to ask the members of that commission that commissioned that report, the Arab states from which we just heard, Egypt, Iraq, and the others, how many Jews live in your countries? How many Jews lived in Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco? Once upon a time, the Middle East was full of Jews. Algeria had 140,000 Jews. Algeria, where are your Jews? Egypt used to have 75,000 Jews. Where are your Jews? Syria, you had tens of thousands of Jews. Where are your Jews? Iraq, you had over 135,000 Jews. Where are your Jews? Mr. President, where is the real apartheid? Why is there a UN commission on the Middle East that does not include Israel? From the 1960s and the 70s, they refused to include Israel. Where is the apartheid, Mr. President? Mr. President, why are we meeting today on an agenda item singling out only one state, the Jewish state, for targeting? Where is the apartheid, Mr. President?